Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen to a non-political video, but we are going to be taking a look at the fallout from Jimmy Kimmel being removed from the air very briefly. And that fallout may be legal ramifications from shareholders, basically, which is pretty crazy, actually. I think this is going to be really, really interesting just to see what happens. So again, like I said, this isn't like a politics-based video. Some people don't like me talking about that here. So I actually have a new channel, which you can find linked down below. I run that channel with Bo from the Lotus Eaters. It's very, very good. Go check it out. But like I said, not politics. This is just the movie industry as a whole. And I find it interesting, you know, where shareholders begin, I guess, to exercise their right, their sort of contractual right to being privy to information. Because that's basically what this is the shareholders. They want documents. They want to know what the hell's gone on. Why are certain decisions being made? Why don't they know about it? You know, kind of so on and so forth. So let's take a look. Again, I just think this is one of those things that, well, I mean, it'll make Disney think twice about doing things in future, potentially. Disney has loads of court cases at any one time. So them going to court for this isn't a huge deal, quite frankly. They have been sued left, right and centre. Even just in the last couple of years, they've been sued left, right and centre. It kind of comes with the territory of being the biggest, or one of the biggest companies out there. But this obviously all comes off the back end of Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air. And so I think having the documentation to back that up, it's an interesting one. So anyway, like I said, let's dive into it. Hit subscribe if you're new here. So this is an exclusive to Deadline. And they say Disney's risking a high-stakes courtroom showdown about what really went down over Jimmy Kimmel's much-criticised suspension. And that is unless Bob Iger-run media giant coughs up some serious documents and information in the next 24 hours. And that is from yesterday. So the likelihood of that moving ahead now is fairly high. Fairly high, I think. So... I've clicked on that. Filming from Brooklyn this week. The sharp-tongued Kimmel has been back on the air. Obviously, not great in terms of the viewership plummeted. So not great. But obviously he's back on the air after a week-long hiatus. And in terms of the renewed attention, the outspoken and well-spoken late-nighter and his upcoming East Coast guests, including Ryan Reynolds, Stephen Colbert, Spike Lee, Emily Blunt, and Bruce Springsteen. The real Jimmy Kimmel live action, or lack thereof, is in Burbank. So what's the real story? Well, as of Monday evening, yesterday, the books and records over possible improper political or affiliate considerations that Roberta Kaplan and other lawyers for Disney shareholders, the American Federation of Teachers, the AFL-CIO, and Reporters Without Borders asked for on September 24th in a terse letter to the CEO have not shown up. So that's what they asked for. I didn't cover it at the time because I was like, oh, well, they'll just cough it up and we won't ever learn about it. But they didn't. They didn't. So the shareholders are calling out the company's C-suites as responsible for significant declines, aka the $4 billion fall in the company's stock, in the blast radius of Kimmel going dark after the FCC chair started tossing his weight around about remarks the long-serving late-night host made about Trump and MAGA's reaction to the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. So that's pretty major. You know, $4 billion loss of stock. Shareholders have a right to look at that and go, what's going on? What's going on? So now money, specifically $4 billion, may talk, but despite laying out that the company contact us promptly to confirm that Disney will permit AFT and RWB to inspect and copy what is being demanded and to confirm the logistical details of that inspection, it seems to have been radio silence from Disney, which is actually often what they do. So Disney did this in the case of Predator. So this you might not have heard of. I covered it at the time. But Predator, the owners of Predator, the writers of the original Predator script, basically began suing Disney. And there was like a deadline for them to respond to it all. And then it all kind of just went silent, and the likelihood is that they just paid them off. And this is what they do. Their tactic on Lawfare is just to wait the time down, basically. It's a pretty fair tactic that most people do. Well, I say fair. Not what I mean by fair, but you know what I mean. So this is a game of chicken, with someone getting out of the way only at the last minute, an insider told Deadline today, of Disney's tactics. They know the stakes. And this is, again, so they're just confirming Disney's general tactics when it comes to legalities. So famous for a takedown of Donald Trump in E. Jean Carroll's suits against the former Apprentice host, the stakes Kaplan gave Iger on September 24th was, within 5 business days of this letter, to hand over the paperwork for inspection and copying. Failing that, with express concerns, the board and executives may have breached their fiduciary duties of loyalty, care, and good faith. Isn't it interesting that they do... They sue over this, or they threaten to sue over this, but not all the other things that Disney's lost money on. Alright then. I mean, that's the swamp. Just there, isn't it? The Disney swamp. That's mental. That's mental. So Kaplan and her fellow attorneys say their clients reserve their rights to initiate an action compelling such production and to pursue all available remedies. So they want to go full force. So can you say, as the letter of last week actually does, derivative lawsuit? Reps for shareholders, main lawyer Kaplan declined comment yesterday, on the state of affairs with Disney and their demands. Disney also did not have a comment on Deadline's request on the documents and other information demanded from the shareholders, or where the process is at Monday. So, of course, even with Kimmel back on affiliate owners Sinclair and Nexstar, as of September 26th, the shareholders' demand isn't the only minefield threatening Disney. Having squeezed at least $15 million out of Iger and Disney to make a thin suit over ill-chosen comments by George Stephanopoulos go away last December, Trump now is back on the warpath with Kimmel's return, apparently. So that's not really the story here, though, to be fair. The story is they haven't coughed up the money. Or the documents, sorry. And then they may have to cough up the money. This is quite crazy. And as of recording this, I don't think there's been any update at all. No. No update at all. That's quite crazy. I do wonder, I mean, we've still got a few more hours for them to drop this information, these documents. So I wonder what will happen. But yeah, it is interesting. I think what's interesting to me is that they will come for Bob Iger and Disney as a whole based on who and what causes the stock drop. Because I remember how much the stock dropped when Ike Perlmutter and I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, but basically they wanted a seat on the board, and the stock raised quite nicely, and then when they sort of exited and they realised that they weren't going to get a seat on the board, stock dropped massively. But there was no suit there, was there? There was no lawsuit there. Kimmel, we'll threaten a lawsuit. It's funny that, isn't it? Closing ranks. Anyway, leave your thoughts down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.